Hello, everybody. Welcome to our daily short storytelling conversation. Let me introduce my partner Jaehyun to you, who will tell us a story today. Hello, Jaehyun. How's it going?
Hello, Carla. It's really nice to be here at your studio together with your listeners. Thank you a lot for receiving me.
So, Jaehyun, what story will you tell us today?
Today, I will tell a story, the argument in the family. But before I start narrating the story, I would like to give some advice to our listeners. My first advice to them is that they should first and foremost memorize the words written for them in the link down below the video.
Wow, that sounds pretty cool. So, our listeners will be able to get familiar with the unknown words. I think you're planning for our listeners to improve their listening skills comprehensively.
That is absolutely right. Secondly, I highly recommend to our listeners to be attentive about the grammar rules and conjunctions such as before, when, about, for, and etc. during listening process. So, they can use these techniques in their daily speaking with others and apply it into their speeches. The story happened 2 years ago on December 25th. So, if everybody is ready, let's get started.
Wow, I'm also eager to hear the story.
It was a quiet evening. My mother set the table for dinner. Everyone sat around the table to eat. When we each time sit around the table, everyone speaks or converses with each other about everything. But this time, it was quite different than other days. My father was totally silent at dinner. I asked my father about his work and his daily routine. In response to my question, he told that it was just one of the ordinary days and there was nothing special. But I could sense there was something wrong happening in the family. Few minutes later, my mother went into the kitchen and got her phone to check her social media accounts for reading news. My father called out her to bring bread. She didn't hear his call. That made him quite angry. He called out to her once again, but still there was a silence. He went into the kitchen and started arguing silently with her. I couldn't hear them properly from the table because they were silently arguing. But later on, I asked my sister about the situation. Luckily, she knew the reason for their argument. They were arguing about where to celebrate the New Year night. 30 minutes later, they came into the living room and asked us about where we would like to spend that night. At home or outside. Mom told us that every year we spend the New Year night at home. So this time, she wanted to celebrate that day outside together. But my father wanted to be at home, sitting in front of the TV and watching his favorite TV shows. I couldn't say anything about their decisions. But to be honest, I also wanted to spend the special day in the restaurant. However, my father kept on rejecting about spending time outside. Later on, we understood that my father's mom, I mean my grandmother, and my uncle with his family were planning to visit us on that day. So, my father made a plan to host them. On the other hand, my mother explained to him that they can also come with us to the restaurant and we can have a great time together. They couldn't find any solution between them. So, I decided to butt in their argument. So, I told both of them to calm down and listen to me. I advised that we could spend that day in the restaurant and walk an hour around the Christmas tree together. The next day, we could invite my grandmother and uncle to our house for the celebration on January 1st. That sounds pretty amazing, my mother said. They all liked my idea except for my father. He said that we must celebrate that day at home. So, on January 1st, we can go to the restaurant.
My goodness, that person is really stubborn. Thank you, Jaehyun, for sharing such a great story with us.